Welcome, family. Welcome to Viral Crimes with Jocelyn. I'm glad to be back. I've been gone for a while, but I was forced to get back in this because of this sad case of Nolan Wells, the young boy who actually passed away with his friends. So I decided to start a series called Friends or Foe. And in this series, we're going to break down a few cases because this is not the only time that this has happened. This has happened several times before, and I don't want those that actually dealt with this to actually be forgotten. So tonight we are opening a brand new series, you guys, called Friend or Foe, a series born from heartbreaking Nolan Wells case. So this young man right here lost his life too soon. A case that made many of us stop and ask a painful question. Can we really trust the people around us? Are our friends truly our friends? Are we ever really safe? When are we surrounded by the people we laugh with, travel with, confide in, and let our guards down with? These are the people that we no longer keep our head on the swivel. You know, we're in a space where we're like, okay, guards down, glasses off. We have rose petal glasses on. We're enjoying ourselves with our friends. These group of guys. What was it? Was it jealousy? You know, you start to your mind start to go down a rabbit hole, and some things, there's a lot of things I could say, but I don't want to say. So we're not looking over our shoulders. We are not expecting betrayal when we're with these group of people. We are vulnerable. We are relaxed. We believe we are safe. These are not just young men that he just met yesterday. They grew up together. They played on the same sports teams. They knew each other for years. He had no reason to think that these guys would harm him. So he stands here with his friends, arms wrapped around him. I mean, he is really excited. So we're dedicating this series to Nolan Wells, and we are starting with the tragic case of Skylar Neese. Now, Skylar Neese was a young woman whose story was focused on her friends. There were jealousy, secrets, betrayals. Now, this young lady was young. And the terrifying reality that sometimes the people closest to us become the people we need to fear the most. So tonight, are we asking the same question that I'm asking? Friend or foe? Friend or foe? So let's talk about it. So before we get into the timeline, I want to give respect to Skylar one more time and her family. This is not gossip. This is not entertainment. And at the expense of victims, we don't do that here. This is a conversation about awareness, betrayal, warning signs, and how quickly trust can become dangerous. So let's just start with the Fair Use Act. Okay, you guys, before we get back into tonight's case, let's unpack a lot. Let's just dive right into this. So let's figure out, who was Skylar Neese. Let's just start there. Skylar was not just a headline, you guys. This was a young lady. She was raised in West Virginia. It was a very Star City, West Virginia. It was a very small town. I mean, I believe they said, hold on, let's see how many people was in this town. And the reason why that is important is because the town was so small. So I promised you, everybody knew what happened to Skylar that night. Let's see how many people are in this town. It is Star City, West Virginia population. Let's see. I would be surprised if they said it was 10,000 people. I think it was a very small town. Why is my buttons ain't here? West Virginia. Hold on, West Virginia. So we're not just gonna run through this population. All right, let's see. It says that Star City, West Virginia. You know, it's got to think, you guys. The population. Oh my God, you guys. This town in 2020 had 1,779 residents. Now, this happened in 2022. So in 2020, it had 1,900 residents, and in 2026, 1,800 to 1,900. Listen, you guys, everybody knew everything about these people. There was no hiding. They knew. So she was not just a true crime, you guys. She was a 16-year-old born in this very tiny, tiny town. She was a daughter. She was a student. She was a friend. She had a life, a personality, a future, and people who loved her deeply. So that's why this story is very, very, very deep. Her age, what she'd been through. These were her best. These were not just acquaintance. These girls were her best friends in life. You know, they talked about being each other's maid of honors in their weddings and, you know, godparents to each other's children. So this is so deep and so scary for all of us. You know, if you have children out there, myself, I'm a loner. You know, my girls are loners. They be by themselves. You know, they stay within their. eh, Listen, so Skylar was the only child of her parents. Um, these are her parents. Let's pull her parents up because we want to give respect to everybody. So she was the only daughter. Her parents had met. You know, her mother always had a crush on her dad, and she happened to come across him. He was in an accident. She was there, took him to the hospital, and then they got together. So by all counts, she was smart. She was funny, outgoing, and full of personality. She attended University High School where she was known as a strong student, and she always worked part-time at Wendy's. So this is where it gets a little weird because everyone knew that she was reliable. Everyone knew that she was responsible. So when she didn't turn up to work, what did everyone start thinking? The mom said, "Oh, I'm going to wait to 10 minutes after 10 and I'm going to call Wendy's." Wendy's called the mom 2 minutes after 10 because that's how reliable Skylar was. Poor Skylar, she had dreams. She had a future ahead of her. She just was full of life. This is what I'm reading. You know, I've been reading a lot about her. I watched several of the movies that were on YouTube about her, and actually, there's also one about her on Netflix. Watched that too last night. She was the type of girl who talked to others, gave advice, and made people feel real comfortable. She was someone that they went to when they needed advice, when they needed a shoulder to cry on. It was always Skylar. She was loyal to the people she believed were her friends, and that is what makes this case extremely painful because the people closest to Skylar were not strangers. They were not random people she met the night before or she met the year before. They were her friends, her sisters that she trusted. And these people right here. This is horrible. Yeah. Yeah. Look at that. They're jumping in the sky together, taking selfies, making kissy faces. I don't know what that is, what they're doing, but guess what? They're doing it. So let's dive into these friends, okay? We're gonna get into the friends. Sheila Eady had known Skylar since childbirth, and Rachel Schaff became part of that friendship circle in high school. To the outside world, they looked like three teenagers just hanging out, laughing, posting online, just being normal teenagers. You know, they had sleepovers, they went to the movies together, just absolutely normal teenagers. But behind the friendship, something was changing, you guys. What was making these friends not want to be friends with Skylar? You know, was not like Scarlett came from a family that had lots of money. That was not the case. Um, But yet tensions start to arise. There was secrets, there was jealousy, there were exclusion. Can you imagine being friends with someone for, we'll say the first friend, they were friends since they were younger. But imagine being friends with someone more than 3 years. And then all of a sudden they start leaving you out. Can you imagine? So she seemed to know something in that friendship was not right. And that is why this case fits so deeply into our series, Friend or Foe, because you just never know. I did not mean for that to rap, but it just felt right. But anyway, you don't know. I don't trust anybody. When I tell you I trust no one, to me, I just don't. I don't know why, but God put that discernment on me. Don't trust nobody. Don't let your guard around nobody. So because Skylar did not walk into danger thinking she was meeting an enemy, she thought she was meeting her friends that night. Hmm. Really, really strange, but it gets better. So now let's break down who was Rachel and Sheila. That's the two. Let me see if I have a better picture of them two. Let me see what I got. Well, we know Skylar is the one to the left of the screen. So the two on the right, that's the one in the middle is Rachel, and then it's Sheila. So now let's talk about Rachel and Sheila, because this is part that makes Skylar's case so painful. Now, Rachel was no stranger at all. They were not random people Skylar met. They were not girls from the outside looking in. They were her sisters. They couldn't get any closer. Skylar was an only child. So Skylar really leaned on Rachel and Sheila. And maybe they prayed on that, knowing that Skylar needed that type of connection. So Sheila Edie had known Skylar for years. Their friendship went back to childhood. And by the time they were in high school, Sheila was one of the people close to Skylar every single day. Every day. Weekends, they traveled together every single day. So there's no reason why Skylar would ever think that Sheila would do anything to her. So then Rachel Schaff, she became part of that circle in high school. And from the outside, it looked like a normal teenage friendship. Girls hanging out, talking, taking pictures, laughing, posting online, doing TikTok challenges, riding around and spending time together like real, true friends. But behind the picture, behind the smiles, and behind the people, something was literally changing, and poor Skylar had no clue. She didn't even see it coming. This is why I say, if you with your group of friends, I don't care how long y'all had them, look to your left, keep your head on the swivel at all times, because you don't know what's brewing, who's jealous of you, and especially if you're trying to accomplish something in life and you want to become something. Like Skylar had all these big dreams. She talked about it all the time with her friends. This is what I want to be when I grow up. She studied. She worked hard for it. So now, who knows why they were jealous? Who knows? So there was tension. There was secrets. There were problems inside that friendship that the outside world may not have fully understood. But guess who understood? Sheila and Rachel. They knew exactly what they were about to do. And that is why this case is so hard, because Skylar did not leave with strangers that night. She left with people she knew, people she trusted, people she believed was her friends. So, and that is the heart of this series, Friend or Foe. Drop it in the chat. Friend or foe, what do you guys think? Do you guys trust people? Do you always listen, you got to prove me right, because in my eyes, you're always wrong. So I'm looking at you sideways, waiting for you to show me. You got to show me. I'm not from the show me state, but listen, you got to show me. Because sometimes the danger does not come from someone hiding in the dark, you guys. Sometimes the danger is already standing right there beside you, smiling. And I'm telling you guys this, I'm a 70s baby, and this is getting worse every single day. Don't be fooled by it. Do not. It's not that important. So they smiled in her face and they called her friend. She was a friend. Or was she? We're gonna get into a video right now. I'm not gonna talk through the whole thing, but I do have some more stuff going on that I do want to discuss. Let me see why this is not. I think I'm out of time though. Hold on, y'all. There we go. Okay, we're gonna watch the short videos, not long, but it'll give us a better understanding who Skylar was and who these two nincompoops were as well. All right, let's go.
The night was heavy with summer heat, the kind that clings to your skin and hums with restless energy. In Star City, West Virginia, on July 6, 2012, the quiet streets of a small town held their breath as a 16-year-old girl named Skylar Neese vanished into the dark. She was an only child, bright, stubborn, and full of life, loved fiercely by her parents, Mary and Dave. That night, after kissing them goodnight and slipping into her room, Skylar climbed out her window, a small bench her silent accomplice, and stepped into a car with her two best friends. It was a routine she'd mastered, a teenage rebellion born of trust and late-night whispers. But this time, she didn't come back. By morning, her bed was empty, her window ajar, and a chilling mystery began to unravel. Her parents' desperate calls to friends revealed lies layered upon lies, and a grainy surveillance tape showed Skylar stepping into a car no one could quite identify.
Can you guys imagine? Truly, just think about it. Your child is missing, and you go to watch your surveillance cameras, and this is what you see. Your child jumping in a car that you have, and then you say to yourself, I've taught her better. But I realized and I've learned that you can train up the child in the way they should go. But sometimes, listen, it doesn't always go the way you plan it. So don't beat yourself up, because everybody at a certain age have their own minds. You can control them to a certain point in life. Then after that, you have no say. They want to do what they want to do, just like we want to do what we wanted to do.
What happened to her? The answer would shatter a community, expose a betrayal so twisted it defies reason, and leave a family forever haunted by one word she gasped in her final moments. Why? Welcome to Beyond the Crime. And now, let's delve into what...
Also, you guys, go to Behind the Crime, like, share, and subscribe to their channel. They have great content. And also, please, if you're on TikTok, double tap that screen, you guys. Get us out into the algorithm. YouTube, please subscribe to my channel. We are on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Kick, Twitch, Patreon, and Rumble. So listen, don't meet us there, beat us there. We're going to be doing this series. I think it's 5 episodes to this series. And the last one will be about Nolan Wells, which this was born from that incident. So let's keep going, because this is going on way too much. It really, really is. I would never even promote for my children at this age to have friends. It's not necessary.
Happened to Skylar Neese. Skylar Neese was born on February 10, 1996, to parents Mary and Dave Neese. Often described as brilliant, empathetic, willful, and effervescent, Skylar was an only child. She grew up and went to elementary school in Cheat Lake, West Virginia. When Skylar was in the 2nd grade, she met Sheila Eddy. Sheila, who was 5 months older, was also an only child.
You guys heard that? 2nd grade. 2nd grade. Oh my God. And they remained friends all those years for this itch to take her out.
The two girls instantly forged a friendship. They began high school together in 2010. At high school, the two met Rachel Schoaf, a budding actress and singer. Like Skylar and Sheila, she too was an only child. The three started hanging out together and began to engage in minor mischief, like nothing major, drinking alcohol, smoking weed, skipping school, breaking curfew, that kind of stuff. Parents and friends of both Skylar and Rachel asserted that Sheila was a negative influence on the two. Some of Skylar's friends actually avoided hanging out with her when she was with Sheila, whom they described as cruel and manipulative. Rachel's friends said the same thing about Sheila, whom they attributed alterations in Rachel's demeanor and conduct to. Regardless, Skylar had no intention of breaking up her relationship with Sheila, a friend she admired. Rachel's motives for maintaining the association with Sheila were more obscure.
Now, imagine she listened. Imagine she took heed to what these people were saying and got the hell away from that girl. You know what? We all go through it. I had a friend my mother couldn't stand. My mother would tell me, don't bring that girl around here, but she remained my friend until I was in my 40s. So it happens. And then she stabbed me in my back over and over and over and over again. And then the friendship ended. But
She was from a relatively affluent family and was more popular than Sheila. She didn't really need her to be cool. This is just straight out of high school drama. It's ridiculous. I think Rachel just liked the fact that with Sheila, she was able to engage in activities forbidden by her religiously inclined peers. She was able to break the rules with Sheila. Anyway, despite, Sheila being consistently portrayed as the malevolent influence, it was Rachel who, upon entering the dynamic, precipitated a shift. For a while, everything seemed to be progressing normally until their sophomore year. Skylar then was thrust into an uncomfortable position when, during a sleepover in late summer 2011, she witnessed Sheila and Rachel engaging in intimate relations while inebriated. The sleepover concluded with a heated dispute between Skylar and Sheila, marking the inception of a schism. While Sheila and Rachel were becoming closer, Skylar had started to become marginalized.
I can't sing when I'm high. You heard me. Oh my God, you know what? I need to tell you a secret. I just forgot. You have a secret from me? Well, I mean, I haven't told anyone. Not even Skylar? No. Okay. I didn't even tell Skylar that I get high. So that's one of my secrets too. It's like,
now, you guys, that's where it begins, the secrets. When you start leaving one of the friends out, that's a telltale sign that something is not right. And poor Skylar had no clue. And this proves it. She said, I never even told Skylar I get high.
well, I told my mom. That what? I rear-ended someone.
Often, Sheila and Rachel would coordinate their attire, ostracizing Skylar, the odd girl, out. Both Sheila and Rachel were sexually active and had boyfriends, while they viewed Skylar as kind of a juvenile appendage. But she also possessed intimate knowledge of Sheila and Rachel that no one else knew. She knew their secrets, which would cause a problem. Skylar hinted at this several times on Twitter, at one point tweeting, I'd tell the whole school all the shit I have on everyone, which is a lot. As I said, Twitter will come up a lot in this story. Arguments that were often held on Twitter between Skylar and Sheila continued to escalate progressively. A critical...
I think the internet, it contributes to a lot of this. I believe that the internet can be the catalyst that can just break everything. Why do people feel the need to get on the internet and start, it's like a wordplay of trying to diss their friends or something, like people are stupid. So these are, what this one say, a good vent session is always nice. Sometimes I worry I'll still be saying dude when I'm 50, which is way too old for it to be acceptable. And also completely ashamed I used the wrong your in the last tweet. Would never happen. Well, this is not nothing against them, so I don't know why this is important, but let's keep going, you guys.
Juncture came when, in early June 2012, Skylar and Sheila spent an entire one-week trip to Myrtle Beach, quarreling incessantly. And when they got home, Sheila told Rachel that Skylar must be eliminated. Now, Sheila's call for murder was not entirely unforeseen. Fellow students and a teacher even had overheard the girls discussing methods for disposing of a body in October 2011.
They should go to jail. Anybody that heard anything, saw anything, and did not speak up, put it behind your back, clink it together, they should go to jail. I say this all the time. If you had knowledge, anything, acknowledge anything, heard anything, saw anything, a whisper, and you said nothing, especially the teacher? This is so ridiculous. It could have been prevented.
Now, the fact was that just a few weeks before they were overheard talking about that, a body had been discovered not far from where they lived. So, it wasn't really thought of as that odd at the time. But according to one girl who overheard them, they were specifically talking about Skylar. However, when this girl told Skylar, "Hey, I just overheard your two best friends talking about how to dump your body," nobody would find it. Skylar was like, "Oh, they're just messing around. No biggie. Whatever." Even so, she confronted the girls about their conversation, but they assured her it was nothing.
Would you guys rather suffocate or get shot?
Get shot.
Shot.
Wait, depends on where.
Would you rather in the head?
Shot. There'd be no suffering.
Why are they having conversations like this? What is this? I don't think I've ever, if you've had conversations like this with your friends, drop her on in the chat. We may have thought it, but we ain't gonna say it.
Diane's or suffocated?
Suffocated.
Drowning or suffocating?
Suffocating. It's almost the same thing.
I know, but it's not.
Well, it's all asphyxiation, so technically it is.
But that wasn't the only warning sign. In spring 2012, concerned that Skylar might blackmail them, Rachel allegedly told another student, "I wouldn't mind if she died." As you do.
What does she
Rachel
know?
also casually suggested, "We should kill her," during a science class, followed by Sheila nodding in agreement. Still, the group continued to hang out together. And while Skylar was aware of the deteriorating state of her friendship with Sheila, her best friend, she had no idea what was coming. This was her last tweet. On Thursday, July 5th, 2012, Skylar got home from her shift at Wendy's at about 10:10 p.m. She then kissed her parents goodnight and went up to her room. Around midnight, Sheila and Rachel either called or texted her, asking if she wanted to go for a ride with them. Sheila parked her car next to the niece's apartment, and Skylar, as she usually did, it had become a habit for her, slipped out of her room, placing a small bench beneath the room's window, and she got into the car with the two other girls. Unbeknownst to Skylar, the trunk of Sheila's car contained a shovel, fresh clothes, towels, and bleach. The three girls then drove to Morse Run Road, a one-lane back road. Sheila parked the car on a spot about a mile into the road, and they got out. They chatted for a while, and when Skylar started walking toward the car to pick up a lighter, the girls counted to 3, and, on this pre-arranged signal, started stabbing Skylar with knives they had kept hidden beneath their hoodies. Skylar tried to run, but she was tackled by Rachel. Skylar managed to grab Rachel's knife and fight back, inflicting a cut above Rachel's ankle. But she was overpowered by the two girls, who stabbed her repeatedly. The girls then stood over her, watching.
Can you imagine? Oh my God. Can you imagine what was going through her mind? Like looking up at them like, what is going on here? Why are you doing this? Because yet no one has said what angered them so bad. She had secrets. What did they do? Was the body that came up prior, was that them? And she knew it? This is evil.
Watching her die. In her dying moments, she could only say, "Why?" Sheila and Rachel had planned to bury Skylar, but the ground turned out to be too rocky for their shovels. Instead, they moved the body next to a big tree and covered her with rocks and branches. After washing themselves in a creek, the girls disposed of their bloody clothes and knives, but left Skylar's turned-off cell phone next to her body. All of this took a few hours, and the girls were back home by dawn. The next day, Skylar's parents left for work early. They assumed Skylar was still asleep in bed. Her father, Dave, came home around midday so that Skylar could borrow his car for her shift at Wendy's. However, no one was home, and the door to Skylar's room was locked from the inside. Dave then noticed a small bench outside and an open window and realized Skylar had slipped out at some point during the previous night. He immediately called Sheila to find out if she had been in contact with Skylar. She admitted to having talked to Skylar on the phone around midnight, but hadn't seen her. Soon after, Mary, Skylar's mother, got home, and a manager at Wendy's called asking about Skylar. With the situation becoming more alarming, the nieces called the police. Then Sheila rang. This time she changed her story, admitting that she and Skylar had, in fact, gone joyriding.
Listen, you guys, this is for pure awareness because it goes on too much. And we have to get these things out here so our children know to not trust no one. So that's why I want to do this series, not for myself, but for our young people. You know, I have girls, I have nieces and nephews, and I just want them to be aware that it does not matter. You can be friends with somebody since the second grade, and that person will take you out and not think twice about it, and get in with the other person that has a little more influence on, you know, the friend that she was friend with for 2 years. So it's always that strong person can get a group of people to do something that they truly do not want to do. So trust no one, you guys. No one. All right, let's
Riding the previous night. According to her, they had picked Skylar up around 11 p.m. and dropped her off at the end of the street in less than an hour before midnight. Skylar's mother, Mary, knew something was seriously wrong, and she took to Facebook. Soon after, Sheila and her mother, Tara, arrived at Skylar's home, wanting to help in the search for Skylar. They began by knocking on, and she took to Facebook.
And she says, Angel, she actually came home from work and snuck out her bedroom window when I was in bed. Sound familiar? We have security cameras and they show her getting in a car with someone, but none of her closest friends seem to know anything, and no one has seen or heard from her since.
Soon after, Sheila and her mother, Tara, arrived at Skylar's home, wanting to help in the search for Skylar. They began by knocking on nearby houses. Have you seen her? Is she here? Did you see anything? They got nothing. Then they asked their landlord, who had surveillance video, and they saw the surveillance footage. No one at the time realized the car Skylar was seen getting into was, in fact, Sheila's car. Now, no one at this point actually suspected Sheila's story, so they didn't bother to rewind even further to see if Sheila had, in fact, picked her up at 11 and dropped her off at home. They didn't bother. They just saw Skylar getting into some stranger's car. It was Sheila's car, but for some reason, nobody recognized it as Sheila's car. They even, erroneously, described it as an SUV, when it was not an SUV. It's quite strange. And when the police officer who had arrived viewed this surveillance footage, he said, "Get this, she probably just voluntarily ran away with some guy, and she'd be back in a few days. Don't worry about it." Possibly the most misguided advice you could ever give someone, like ever. After Skylar went missing, Sheila definitely played the victim card. Kind of. Then, the detective who was assigned to Skylar's disappearance from the local police department was joined by an FBI agent because another person had gone missing in the area a couple of weeks earlier, and they thought it might be linked. They interviewed...
What do you guys think? You think it was linked? For some reason, I think it was. And I'm only saying that because they wanted to kill her, or, sorry, YouTube. They wanted to delete her because she knew something. She knew something was not right, or did she know what they actually did? So, listen, I hope we get some answers by the end of this video, because we can go down a rabbit hole of the thoughts from everything that we're hearing. So I think that they truly, truly had something to do with the previous incident that took place. So let's keep going, you guys.
Not only against her, but particularly against Sheila, who they thought would never admit to the crime. And Sheila knew they were after her. Sheila was then given a search warrant to seize every knife in her house and also her car. She also knew by this time that Skylar's body had been found. On March 13th, the body had been verified as being Skylar Niece's, and this information was released to the public. Skylar's postmortem revealed she had been stabbed 50 times.
Oh my
Still,
God.
nothing else really about the circumstances of her death was announced. And
Right.
Sheila tweeted this on that day. About a month later, Sheila then tweeted this. On May 1st, Rachel surrendered herself to the authorities and she had her first day in court, where she pleaded guilty to the murder of Skylar Niece. She agreed to testify against Sheila in any trial. In exchange, the prosecution agreed to recommend 20 years for second-degree murder. Sheila was then arrested at Cracker Barrel while dining with her mother. On September 4th, Sheila pleaded not guilty to the charges of murder, kidnapping, and conspiracy. Then, at Sheila's pretrial hearing on January 24th, 2014, Sheila started sobbing as soon as she sat down before the trial had even begun. Often, she'd cling to her attorney for support. She then changed her plea and pleaded guilty to first-degree murder. In exchange for her guilty plea, the prosecution agreed to a sentence of 15 years to life with the possibility of parole after 15 years.
Sheila Eddy, how do you plead to the offense of murder in the first degree of the felony charged in count 3 of the indictment in this case?
Guilty.
The record will reflect that the defendant has entered a plea of
I will say this, you guys. As the investigation continued, their stories did begin to fall apart. At first, Sheila Eddy and Rachel presented themselves as Skylar's worried friends. They participated in the searches. They spoke with their families, and they acted as though they were desperate to know what happened to their bestie. But investigators began noticing inconsistencies. Their timeline did not always match. Their explanations changed. Their behavior rose questions, and the evidence began pointing towards the very people who claimed they wanted Skylar home. So the truth did not unravel all at once. It became apart slowly, and contradictions, one suspicious detail, one lie after the next. So, you know what? When you have to lie at this magnitude, there's no way you will continue to tell that same line every single time someone investigates or interviews you. It's going to change. The truth never changes. The chair is brown. It's brown. But if you're like, the chair is brown and it's got a little bit of pillows on it, and it's got 8 pillows, and you're giving too much information, it's all a lie. So, betrayal, friend or foe. This is where the words friend or foe becomes painful. And I came up with this thing, and I was just like, Skylar did not leave home expecting to meet strangers. She willingly got into a vehicle with people she trusted, people she laughed with, people she shared secrets with, and considered her best friends. Her guard was down. She believed she was safe, you guys. That is what makes this portrayal so difficult to understand. And we still don't know why they did it. It was so senseless in our eyes because we never got a true answer on why these girls did this to this young lady. It makes no sense. They came from families that had stuff. I believe Skylar's parents, her dad, I can't remember what it said her dad did. I think her dad worked at Walmart and her mother worked at a doctor's office, like at the front desk, where the other 2 girls, they had a little more. So they couldn't be jealous of her for her financial reasons. I just don't understand that. I wish we had more answers. So Skylar's story forces us to ask a frightening question. How well do we truly know the people closest to us? We don't, you guys. We're going to get back into this video and finish this. I just wanted to say that. Let's keep going, you guys.
guilty to the offense of murder in the first degree of the felony charged in count 3 of the indictment in this case. You may be seated. It's the chair, please. Ms. Eddy, have you heard what the prosecutor said the state's evidence would be?
Yes, sir.
Is that substantially correct?
Yes, sir.
Is that what happened?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Eddy, are you entering a plea of guilty to the offense of murder in the first degree, the felony charged in count 3 of this indictment, because you are in fact guilty of this offense?
Yes, sir.
My name is David Neese. I'm Skylar's father. I'm here today with my wife, Mary. The person sitting before you, Skylar's so-called friend, took her away from us without any remorse or feelings. You can look into the eyes of those who are responsible, but you can never hear what they heard as they were taking her life. You can see the faces of the killer, but you can't see Skylar's face. You can never understand the fear that she must have had as they took a knife and ended her life.
Ms. Eddy, would you please stand? Sheila Eddy, for your conviction of the offense of murder in the first degree, upon your plea of guilty, it is the sentence of the court that you've been imprisoned in the West Virginia State Penitentiary for the rest of your natural life. Consistent with the requirements of the Constitution of the United States, that sentence is technically with mercy, which makes you eligible for parole after you have.
Now listen, you guys. It's strange, when I was watching the video and just trying to figure out who these people were. So we have Rachel. Now Rachel did respond a lot different than Sheila. So you have two people participating in the same crime, but respond very differently afterwards. She appeared more emotional. The other one was unaffected, while the other one was collapsing under fear, guilt, pressure, or all three, who knows? Or was she just feeling this way because she got caught? We really don't know. But she showed some type of remorse. So they were a little lenient on her I'm drawing a blank. Her sentencing, sorry. So that's how come she ended up with the 15 to life, where I believe the other one got 20 or more. So Rachel's breakdown does not undo what happened, you guys, but it became a point where the secret could no longer remain contained. But yet she doesn't say why. So chat, do you believe that Rachel's confession came from genuine remorse, fear, or being caught, or an inability to continue carrying this large secret that had to be I know she couldn't sleep. So Rachel finally confessed, and she and Sheila had planned Skylar's deletion. She also led investigators to the location of Skylar's remains. For Skylar parents, the confession provided answers, but those answers were more devastating than anything they could have imagined. Ooh, should we keep going with the video? We might understand why these so-called friends did this to their bestie. I feel okay by myself. Listen, I may be alone, but I'm not lonely. I enjoy my private time. I love being by myself, spend some time with my husband, my kids, but I'm good on it. So let's get back into the video. It's almost finishing up, you guys. Come on, finish up.
Requirements
There we
of
go.
the Constitution of the United States. That sentence is technically with mercy, which makes you eligible for parole after you have served 15 years.
Why they give her mercy? She didn't give Skylar mercy.
After the trial, Dave Neese, Skylar's father, swore that he'd be at every parole hearing to make sure Sheila never walks free.
Dave, I also have a question for you. I know nothing will ever replace losing your daughter, but does this bring any sort of sense of closure?
Heck no.
Can your family start to?
Like I said before, there's no closure at all, I don't think. I mean, who knows how my mom works right now. If you can figure out, let me know. But the only way that there could be closure if they both were in prison. I know they're both in jail right now. One of them's been sentenced, one of them hasn't. After the other one gets sentenced, then we can start worrying about all that. But right now, I don't think it'll ever be closed. My little girl was something you can't close.
Rachel's sentencing hearing began on February 2nd. She accepted the sentence, 30 years, for second-degree murder with the possibility of parole after 10.
Hmm.
And still to this day, we do not know why they did this. And that is a question we would like an answer to. Because what in the world would be so bad that you would have to kill Skylar and to put her through what you did? You didn't think about that when you were doing it, so why would we need to think about how you feel now? You stood there for over a year, comforting, being with us, telling us you knew nothing. When the police and everybody was coming close, then you decided to confess. You need to think about everything you put us, your family, and everyone else through with not being able to have the pleasures that other kids would have. No grandchildren, no marriages, no prom, no graduation. How do you think that would make us feel?
Well, let me tell you guys. It says right here. Let me see. I saw something just now. I was researching it, and it says that the reported explanation was that they no longer liked Skylar and did not want to be friends with her anymore. That is what makes this case crazy to me. Friendships are allowed to end. People are allowed to separate, block her, change your phone numbers, go to another school. But deletion, why was that the answer? This is all they've said, that they didn't like her anymore. What could make someone believe destroying another person is easier than ending a friendship and just walking away? Schaff reportedly told investigators they did not like Skylar and no longer wanted to be her friend. That is what they said. This is insane. I don't even know why they were young, stupid, but let's get into the prosecutor's information that we have on the video. Hold on, y'all. Here we go.
Both are currently serving their sentences at Lakin Correctional Center. In 2014, Skylar's parents sued the girls and their mothers for damages over Skylar's death. They were arguing that the parents, by neglecting to supervise their daughters, are partially responsible for what happened to Skylar. Now, that doesn't really seem right. I mean, Sheila and Rachel's parents are no more responsible for what happened to Skylar than Skylar's parents are for not watching her enough, and therefore, she was able to escape out of her room the night she died. Now, that case never went to court. Skylar's parents accepted an offer from their legal teams. They settled for $5,000. However, it's unlikely they will ever see that money. One of the most disturbing things about this case is how there was seemingly no motive other than they didn't like her anymore, which is terrifying and profoundly disturbing. It is an extremely tragic and heart-wrenching case of what happened to Skylar Neese. A case of teenage jealousy, anger, resentment. I don't know. The story of Skylar Neese lingers like a shadow, a haunting echo of trust betrayed and a life stolen too soon. It's a tale that chills the soul, not just for its brutality, but for the empty silence where a reason should be. Her voice, asking why, still reverberates through a shattered community, unanswered, unforgettable. What do you make of this tragedy? Share your thoughts below. Let's unravel the darkness together.
Oh, so this was a really deep story, and only because, not only was she taken from her loved ones and her friends and her family for no reason. So Rachel did plead guilty to second-degree deletion, and she did receive a 30-year sentence. Sheila pleaded guilty to first-degree deletion and received life imprisonment with parole eligibility. A legal sentence creates accountability, but no sentence can restore Skylar's life or give her parents back the future that they expected to share with her, their only child. So, chat, do you believe the difference between their sentencings was appropriate based on their roles in Rachel's cooperation? I don't think so. I don't agree with this. I just don't. So Skylar's story is the reason we must pay attention to unhealthy relationships, unhealthy friendships, jealousy, secrecy, humiliation, constant exclusion, threats, and people who seem to enjoy another person's pain. This does not mean we should fear everyone close to us. It means we should stop dismissing serious warning signs simply because the person showing them is called friend. Skylar was not betrayed by strangers, you guys. She was betrayed by people who knew how to make her feel safe. They knew it. They've known her forever. They knew all her buttons. They knew everything. They probably knew her better than her parents did. So at what point does a difficult friendship become an unsafe friendship? This is Friends or Foe, a Viral Crimes Jocelyn series. We remember Skylar Niece, and we pray for every family affected by betrayal and violence. So you guys know that I like to, end my videos with a prayer for the families, and this video is not going to change. So, Heavenly Father, we come before you with heavy hearts, remembering Skylar Niece and Nolan Wells, and every life that has been tragically taken too soon, Lord. Lord, please comfort the families, the friends, the communities. Lord, give them strength during the moments when the grief feels unbearable, and surround them with love. Place a hedge of protection around them. Give them peace and support, Father God. We pray that every hidden truth is brought into light, that justice is served, and that no family is left without answers, God. Please give our children and loved ones wisdom, discernment regarding the people around them. Protect them from betrayal, manipulation, jealousy, and hidden danger, Father God. Remind us to listen when something does not feel right, and never ignore warning signs. So, Father, guide the Viral Crimes with Jocelyn and These Criminals Are Crafty. Help us speak the truth with compassion, honor the victims, respect their families, and never exploit another person's pain. May every video we create bring awareness, encourage meaningful conversations, and make you proud, Father God. I ask this in the name of Jesus, we pray. Amen. You guys, friend or foe, the Skylar Niece case. Thank you guys for joining the Viral Crimes family. We will be back for another part of our series. We have actually 5. I have 5 cases that we're going to discuss. And then on that last series, number 6, we're going to break down the Nolan Wells case. This case is riveting to me. There's so many moving parts. So many things are being discovered. So I'm trying to wait it out. I'm trying to wait until we get the full story. So I decided to go this way with it. The parents are finally speaking out. We're hearing things that is a little suspicious. I know the sheriff's department is now starting to see something is not right, or being forced to see it, because now that they hired Crum, the attorney, and then now they have Jesse Jackson was there. They had what's the other guy? Oh my God, he's the producer of movies. I can't remember his name. Jesse Jackson was there. Oh my God, it's on the tip of my tongue. I'm just gonna forget about it, and I'm gonna get mad because when I get off the phone, off this computer, I'm gonna be like, "That's his name." But anyway, so they had a whole lineup. We have Tyler Perry is paying for his funeral service. Colin Kirkpatrick, I don't know how to say it, but he's doing the autopsy. So people are really gathering behind this family to help figure out what has happened. My big thing is when we heard, Mom said that she was checking her Juicy, what is the name of that thing? Snapchat, sorry. My niece is here. Snapchat. Say hi, Juice.
Hello.
So yes, so Mom was checking Snapchat. No, she had Life 360. And she said Life 360 was saying that the phone was on land. Now his phone was face activation. The friends was on Snapchat. They were seeing something totally different from Mom. So Mom's best friend goes over to the house where the kids from Snapchat said the phone was. And she got the phone. And when they got into the phone, there was a whole bunch of deleted messages. So my question to you guys, if this was a face activation and these boys had this phone open, when did they put the phone over his face? And then the neighbor said, oh, we saw his parents outside cleaning the boat. Now, mind you, this is the second day after the Coast Guard's already went to town trying to find this young man. The next day, they find him in the same place that he allegedly lost his life. But there was another guy. I'm putting this all together, y'all. There was another guy, and in my thing, I'm gonna piece it all together. I'm slowly just collecting data right now. So there was another man that said that he had was flying over where his body was found, and he did not look waterlogged at all. He said there was no signs of him being in that water for even 24 hours. So there's a lot of stuff that's lining up. And listen, you guys, but we have other victims out there. And we want to just keep these victims' names alive. And we want to bring awareness to our young people. We want to make sure that they see that this can happen to anyone. So make sure you talk to your young people. Make sure you give them your advice. All you can do is tell them and pray to God that they do the right thing, you guys. So again, thank you guys for joining Viral Crimes with Jocelyn. We will be back with another episode of Friend.